Welcome back to Chronicles, and we are back here in Mark 12, and we're in this little section where various opponents of Jesus are trying to pin him with their questions and trap him to find a reason not to listen to him, and worse, to get rid of him completely. And we saw quite a politically loaded question in our last session, a question about how to relate to Gentile authorities, to Caesar, and now we're thinking about more of a religious trap, as the Sadducees come to him in verse 18. Sadducees, who say there is no resurrection, came to him and questioned him. Teacher, Moses wrote for us that if a man's brother dies, leaving a wife behind but no child, that man should take the wife and raise up offspring for his brother. Now there were 7 brothers. The first married a woman, and dying left no offspring. The second also took her, and he died, leaving no offspring. And the third likewise. None of the 7 left offspring. Last of all, the woman died too. In the resurrection, when they rise, whose wife will she be, since the 7 had married her? Jesus spoke to them. Isn't this the reason why you're mistaken? You don't know the scriptures or the power of God. For when they rise from the dead, they neither marry nor are given in marriage, but are like angels in heaven. And as for the dead being raised, haven't you read in the book of Moses, in the passage about the burning bush, how God said to him, I am the God of Abraham and the God of Isaac and the God of Jacob. He is not the God of the dead, but of the living. You are badly mistaken.
Yeah. That's going to shut them up. So there's another group. So you had the Pharisees and the Herodians who hated each other coming together to trap him. And then there's these, in many ways, the more sort of intellectual,
Yes,
the more liberal-minded Sadducees.
Yeah.
And they're thinking, okay, they had a go.
Yeah.
Now let's put a very intelligent scriptural question to him.
Yeah. And they've, just like the previous opponents, they've basically already decided what they think is true, and they're not coming ready to learn, they're coming to trap.
Yeah.
And what they want to do here is to prove that Jesus' doctrine of the resurrection is just ridiculous. They want to show that it doesn't work with what Moses said. So they're trying to say, you go on about Moses and the fathers. Your doctrine of the resurrection is not found there. You've departed from Moses. So 1, you're unfaithful. 2, you're just ridiculous. And let me prove how ridiculous you are with this illustration.
And I mean, it's not a real story. It's just a made-up thing. They don't know anyone that has 7 brothers and 1 woman marries them all and has no children. But they're just making this up. And it is quite a funny story.
Funny. And when we did the Mark drama, which was a dramatized version of Mark's Gospel in the round, this is one of the best scenes.
It is, because it was just funny, wasn't it? Because one was dying, another was dying, another was dying, all 7 die. I mean, what's this woman doing? I think the question would be, is this woman killing them?
Yeah, absolutely.
But anyway, so it's all about the resurrection and who they're going to be married and that sort of stuff, to show, as you say, those 2 things are stupid and you don't know the Moses.
And what they're assuming here, and this is the big problem that Jesus puts his finger on, is that the age to come, or the new creation, is going to be exactly like this one.
Yeah.
So they're thinking, well, marriage, offspring, that's what it's like here, that's what it's going to be like there. But Jesus is saying, although there is a degree of continuity, there are actually things that are very different about the age to come. And the reason you don't get it is because you actually don't know the very scriptures you claim to be using against me. So, and that is the answer to all of our problems, isn't it? We don't know the scriptures or the power of God. And Jesus is saying here, no, look, you're wrong. Yes, there will be some things the same. We will have bodies. There will be relationships. There will be a resurrected age. We're talking about a new earth, a restored, redeemed earth. But this idea of needing to marry in order to keep living so that we can have offspring, that's not how it's going to be. There's going to be no marriage because there's going to be no need for offspring, because we're all going to live forever in the presence of God and be married to him. So they're not seeing They're just thinking, here's how it is now.
Yes.
That's how it will be then. That's stupid,
Yeah.
isn't it, Jesus?
Well, because they're secularists,
Yeah.
really, in many ways. They're believing this world is all there is.
Yeah.
And to imagine an eternity or a heaven is just saying, okay, we don't like the things about this world. And that's what atheists and secularists do, isn't it? They imagine when we're talking about the new creation, the new heaven, that it's just an extension of us.
Yes.
We're just getting older and more frail and more senile, and and so they're not reading the scriptures.
No.
And then his answer is just fantastic at the end. He goes straight to Moses, straight to the heart of Moses.
Yeah, I know.
In Exodus 3, straight to the one of the big things that shows God making a people and declaring who God is. And there he says, I am the God of Abraham, who was dead by then.
Yes.
The God of Isaac, who was dead by then. The God of Jacob, who was dead by then.
Yeah.
And so if your secularist view is God just then the God of dead people?
Yes.
And then, of course, he says God is not the God of the dead, but the God of the living.
Yeah.
You are badly mistaken.
Yeah.
And it's a very strong bit of language there, isn't it?
It is very strong, yeah. And for people who prided themselves in understanding the scriptures, it's quite embarrassing for them, isn't it? But as you say, the very simple point Jesus makes, and this is why he is such a master, because it's not really difficult what he says. It's not, I was the God of Abraham and the God of Isaac and the God of Jacob. I am. In other words, they still live. They're alive to me. I'm the God of the living. And so, what a way to tackle these opponents, to prove that they are the ones who don't know Moses and that they're the ones who look ridiculous now, not Jesus.
So, I mean, that just shows us, doesn't it? And you do get this. I mean, we have it, don't we, as pastors, people coming and asking us questions. And sometimes it's just really, you're quite embarrassed for them because they're so ignorant that you don't sort of often want to expose their ignorance because you feel a little bit embarrassed for them. But there are times where you have to expose because they're influencing people and say, no, you're badly, badly mistaken.
Yeah.
You need to read the scriptures and understand what's going on and what God is saying. Yeah. Okay, so there is a resurrection.
There is, and that's the encouragement here, isn't it? That is the encouragement. There is an age to come, which will be both like and also very unlike this age that we've got to look forward to, and we will be with the God who lives, and we will live forever in his presence. I mean, that's what the scriptures are about.
And that's our great hope, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I heard the Archbishop of Canterbury on the radio today talking about grief, because it's Grief Day. He was on with another religious leader. I think they were on for about 7 minutes on Prime Radio 4, talking about grief. He must be a Sadducee, as far as I can see, because he didn't mention God once, or even spirituality, or even prayer, or certainly not the resurrection of the Lord Jesus Christ. And so there are these Sadducees around, just trying to give advice. The advice was okay. In one level, time is a healer and all that sort of stuff, all that sort of secular stuff. And what he should have said was, Jesus said, I am the reresurrection and the life, and there is hope to come.
Yes.
And
we need to know the scriptures and the power of God. I mean, if Christians can't speak a word into death and grief, we may as well pack up. Really.
Yeah. So there is hope in resurrection.
There is.
Because God is the God of the living, not of the dead.
Yeah.
We'll leave it there.